National Suicide Prevention Week. And according to the World Health Organization, key facts that are actually out here is that more than 700,000 people die due to suicide every year. For every suicide, there are many more people who attempt suicide. A prior suicide attempt is the single most important risk factor for suicide in the general population, and suicide is the fourth leading cause of death in 15 to 19-year-olds. 77% of global suicides occur in low and middle income countries. So the ingestion of a pesticide, hanging and firearms are among the most common methods of suicide globally. So today we discuss depression and mental illness, which in most cases triggers suicidal or murder thoughts. And so we welcome your views, and we just want to share our experiences. We'll be having guests that will speak to us this morning. One that will tell us ways of getting yourself off the hook. Above everything, what are these things that you need to look out for? And at this point there is a danger, and therefore this is how we get to fix it. It's going to be a great conversation. As we all say, it's important that we look out. It is important that we check on our brothers and sisters here and there. Make a phone call once in a while. Just get to know whether this person is doing well. We understand that we are in those unprecedented times of COVID-19, and mental health, suicide cases, murder cases appear to be the shadow pandemics. The numbers are going up by the day, but we seek to reduce the same. So that conversation is what we'll be having this morning for the better part of the day, and therefore we welcome you to be part and parcel of it. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda _Alela TV 47KE. Let's just talk. Let's have to share our experiences and so much more. Importantly, we do not fail to speak about what is happening here in terms of politics, in terms of so much so. As you can see, the papers right there, the Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper, and the People Daily. Will be looking at all this as we continue with the broadcast. And yes, the broadcast begins right now, right away. This is Morning Cafe. My name is Linda Alela. We'll be having two gentlemen who join us for this conversation, and of course that is in regards to matters looking at the papers and what is making news. But above everything, later on at around 7:20 is when we kickstart with the conversation on matters suicide. So keep it right here, and let's all create that awareness. As of now, we have Honorable, that is Kiplagat Dennis, who joins me for this particular conversation on the papers. And because normally I'll go through the papers the first thing alone, but he's in studio, and so why not engage him as we delve deep into looking at some of these key issues, as we also await to get the next guest who will be joining us shortly. And as we have said, the key papers that we have right here, Standard newspaper, the People Daily, and the Daily Nation, is what we'll be looking at this morning. Mhesh, you well?
Yes, I'm well, and good morning.
Good morning to you. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Thank God for this day. It's a wonderful day. And
we are happy, and we're looking forward to a great day ahead. Sasa, watu wa hustler wanatusumbua sana.
No, watu wa hustler, hakuna mtu ambaye wanasumbua. The hustler people are just doing what they know they're supposed to do. And what they're supposed to do is to work towards their goal that is come next year, 2022. And people of Hustler, in fact, hakuna mwenye wanataja. They are not mentioning anybody, unlike the others where when they go to bed, they talk about
the hustler man.
The hustler man, okay. Specifically Ruto. When they wake up, Ruto. I even think when they go to washroom, they think about Ruto, drink Ruto, and on everything Ruto, the hustler nation in short. So we are good, and things are going well.
Well, do you think people are talking about the Hustler Nation because Hustler Nation imeweza sana, ama it's because there's this pity party me develop, mnataka kupatiwa tu huruma? Sijui kama wewe ni wa Hustler, nasema tu ama wame develop some essence of kutaka kila saa uishe moments, and while it could work politically, sometimes it's not as good. So mko na uishe nyingi sana.
Yes, you see, sympathy seeking in politics has been a tactic since time before. But now, with the hustler, we are not seeking for any sympathy. We are working our way. Just as I told you, we are not even mentioning anybody.
Right.
We do something, then people go and do their things. Now, when we say that this is not supposed to be this way, people start saying that we are seeking for sympathy. There's no sympathy we're seeking, but instead we are seeking for what is rightfully ours come 2022 with a track record.
You have a positive mind and heart, yes, and everything that based on the track record. Then come 2022, you yes, get something.
When you believe in yourself, and you believe in what you are doing, and your interests are right in what you're going to do, you know you always get a positive mind. Although there is a chance of losing, but for now we don't bank on losing. We are not that we are going to become winners.
What track record are we looking at in this case that the Hustler Nation has to present to the people? What is it that the Deputy President has done, yes, probably under Jubilee Party, for you to confidently say that, you know, it's based on the track record that the Hustler will be able to sell itself to the people?
I can confidently tell you that there is a track record. If you look at the first term of the government, that is 2013 to 2017, mm-hmm, we saw development in terms of infrastructure, mostly infrastructure, until come the from 2017 towards now, the handshake government, where it changed all the agendas from the Big Four agenda to, mm-hmm, the BBI. Mm. You see, now if you look at the development inside this lovely country Kenya, there was a positive development towards that time. Mm-hmm. Now the positive development stopped after 2017 election, where the handshake government came in. Okay. So that's the track record I'm talking about. We are not just talking about, we are not looking for any sympathy. We are telling people to get just pertaining our work, okay, and progress, mm-hmm, to from 2013 to 2017. After 2017, you know, we are not going to talk about that, because, uh-huh, everybody knows and everybody saw what happened. We went to handshake, things started becoming messy in the government. There was no any development. In fact, everybody, in those who proposed to be on the government, never talked about the Big Four agenda. Instead, when they stood on any public domain, okay, they talked about the changing of constitution.
All right.
Yes, it's so unfortunate.
Okay, I'll not ask you much to speak for the hustlers, yes, much as you are a sympathizer. Let's first pick the stories that have been prepared by my team, and then alongside you and hopefully the other guests will be here, we'll look at the papers. So, the government has declared a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew at the Laikipia Conservancy area and its environs, following the runway insecurity in the area. And as Mike Kagwongo reports, the operation to flush out bandits has begun just a day after the bandits torched 50 houses in the area.
The directive comes just days after the National Security Council met to review the security situation in parts of Laikipia County. In a statement issued Monday, Interior CS Fred Matiang'i said the security situation in the area has continued to deteriorate as a result of rampant cattle rustling, as well as surge in illegal gun ownership, which has escalated the violence. The government has declared a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew in Laikipia Conservancy and its environs effective immediately. Interior CS declaring the areas as disturbed and therefore a security operation zone. All leaders, including politicians, businessmen, public officers who have illegally moved their livestock into the conflict zone, have been directed to remove them from the area within the next 48 hours. This comes just hours after another person was shot dead by armed bandits at Mikindori village, bringing to 5 the number of people who have been killed in the last 6 days. The 46-year-old man, identified as Peter Njeguna, died on the spot when the armed bandits attacked the village located 2 kilometers from Olmoran Township today.
Kushika tu geti, nikasikia kijana ametoka mbio. Ananiita baba mkubwa, baba ameuliwa. Fungulia, fungulia. Sasa mimi nikangangana kufungua. Mtoto naye kustuka akaanguka hapo chini.
His brother George Dongo said the deceased had sought refuge at his home after he fled together with his family from Mirigweta village, which had been attacked the previous day.
Lakini kabla apigwe risasi, yule kijana alikuwa kwa kitanda anasema aliambiwa sisi ni kisasi tunalipisha. Na tutaendelea miezi miwili mpaka tulipishe ile watu yetu wameuliwa. na hiyo hatuachi.
His wife, Damaris Wagre, said the bandits raided their home some minutes to 9 in the evening and made away with 4 calves and a sheep after the attack.
Sasa msi hapa kwa murago ndio aliweka mkuki na majagiri wakajua iko mtu wako hapo, wakaondoka wakahama huko kwa murago ya nyumba. Ndio alikuja hii nyumba ya jao wakafuja wakachukua jao.
Kama serikali ingejua iko makao mengine basi angetuambia. Hapa angeleta kifaro 10, hiyo kazi ingekuwa imeisha. Angeleta ndege ifanye kama Mount Elgon. Kwani Mount Elgon ifanywe operation na hapa wanaogopa kufanywa operation. Na kama kuna watu wako na Godfather yawa, basi watuambie sisi wengine hatuna Godfather bali tutaenda.
The family is currently seeking refuge at Olmoran Catholic Church. Meanwhile, the Service Party leader Mwangi Kiojore has asked for the return of the Kenya Police Reservists in the volatile Laikipia region following the runaway insecurity witnessed in the area.
Wakati tulikuwa tuko na police reservists, wale belendi tulikuwa tunaita home guard, watu ya Laikipia walikuwa na uwezo wa kujilinda. Kwa sababu kujikinga ni yule mtu ambaye anaumizwa. Tunauliza serikali ilitoa hawa home guards, police reservists, na tumeomba karibu mwaka mzima sasa waturudishie askari wetu.
Kiojore, who is the former MP for Laikipia East, says the presence of law enforcement officers has not had any impact, adding that the arming KPR will be the best strategy to apply in curbing the attacks.
Kuna askari ya jeshi, kuna askari ya GSU na askari ya polisi, askari ya AP, nao wote wameshindwa kuweka usalama Laikipia.
For TV 47 a Mike Kagwango.
Well, the country Monday morning received additional 880,320 doses of Moderna vaccine. This is the second batch of the Moderna vaccine to arrive in the country as the country hopes to vaccinate 10 million Kenyans by December this year. And Rinkilimi with that report.
The country's vaccination exercise continues to get a boost after the country received an additional 880,320 doses of the Moderna vaccine from the United States government through the COVAX facility. The second batch of the Moderna vaccine arrived Monday morning at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
This second batch now completes the donations of the Moderna vaccine from the United States government, amounting to 1,760,780 doses. Kenya has now received a total of 5,146,780 doses of various vaccines.
The government says it is targeting to increase daily vaccination rates to 150,000 by December this year. Vaccination posts will also be increased from 800 to 3,000 by December, with the number rising to 7,877 by June next year. Kenya has so far received more than 2.3 million doses of vaccines ready for administering. The Moderna vaccine is the second type of vaccine to be deployed in the country after the deployment of the AstraZeneca vaccine since March this year. Kenya received the first batch of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine on Friday last week. So far, a total of 2.6 million people have been vaccinated, out of which 2 million have received their first doses, with another 812,000 people having been fully vaccinated.
The uptake of vaccines in the country is very encouraging, as the majority of Kenyans have responded well to our call to come out and get vaccinated. At the rate at which we are moving, and pending no supply problems or constraints, we expect to attain the 10 million target set by His Excellency the President that we must achieve by December of this year.
The Ministry of Health has revised the deployment plan, with those living with disability and underlying conditions now being part of the priority groups in the vaccination exercise.
And we've added a number of priority groups, expanded them, and people living with disability is now a distinct priority group, as well as people who have underlying medical conditions above the age of 18.
Kenyans who received their first doses have been urged to ensure they take their second dose. The ministry further warning against mixing of vaccines.
When you have partial protection, you are not fully, your body is not fully challenged to be able to fight the virus when it comes. So you must get fully vaccinated. What we have picked is that some people have been waiting, imagining they will mix with another vaccine. We are telling them that is not yet policy here in Kenya. We have now enough doses of AstraZeneca, so let them come. It is not possible for governments to go into people's bedroom, each and everyone. People with disabilities we can understand, but for those ones, kindly come, because with full immunity you'll be better protected.
The ministry further warning against mixing of vaccines. This even as the country is expecting to receive another 2 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine from the US government this September. Andrine Kilemi, TV 47.
Well, thanks, Andrine, for that. And politics, Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju wants Deputy President William Ruto to explain his source of wealth. Tuju, alongside other party officials, also want the DP to stop attacking the First Family, as Paul Kirobi reports.
Yes, okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming for this press briefing.
The Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju wants DP William Ruto to tame his allies from attacking the First Family. Tuju accusing Ruto of controlling a social media attack against the Kenyatta's family.
It was an admirable display of optics and demeanor of humility before his real self and ego came back as he launched a scathing social media attack executed by his foul-mouthed political mouthpieces and bloggers, with most of the vitriol directed at the person and family of the founding father of our nation, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, who is not here to defend himself.
The party's top organ is also questioning Deputy President William Ruto's source of wealth. Tuju says Ruto is on record declaring that he is worth 100 million in 2015, but estimated to be worth billions of shillings today. A presentation by Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i in Parliament showed that Ruto has over 18,500 acres of property, 2 high-end hotels, 5 helicopters in 2 hangar at Nairobi's Wilson Airport, and a chicken farm. Ruto, however, said he only owns 70% of the assets listed.
But with an income of 1.5 million shillings a day, our Deputy President is okay. The only thing left in his wonderful act of transparency is for him to show us the figures with respect to his very big payment to Kenya Revenue Authority. A great leader should lead from the front. We request that as a person who is also a good Bible-quoting born-again Christian, he will shame the devil and publicly give all Kenyans this information. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what belongs to God.
Tuju further urged the Deputy President to publicly reveal his tax payments with the Kenya Revenue Authority after he declared that he earns 1.5 million from his chicken farm. Tuju has accused DP Ruto of blackmailing the government between 2013 to 2017 for his own selfish interests.
He demanded proposing half the cabinet. That is when the rain started beating us. His proposals were too biased ethnically, and it left President Uhuru Kenyatta with no option but to work with the remaining half to accommodate the rest of Kenyans. These unfortunate demands of the Deputy President would extend to other senior political appointments in government for the whole of the 2013-2017 cycle.
The party has, however, dropped the quest to push for Ruto's resignation.
In fact, I could have all these things and still be very primitive. So if you expect me to do certain things because of certain values, I would like to appeal to my brother here and a few others who are asking for the Deputy President to resign, that please stop wasting your breath. He will not resign. He's not that type of person. We know him. Let us concentrate on 2022.
I therefore call upon the Deputy President and those who are campaigning, save Kenyans' lives, because our lives are very important, our lives are very dear, Politics will be there today, tomorrow, but we must follow the regulations.
Those who don't have shade of decency can continue living a lie, using the official residence to do campaigns, using official government machinery, using government offices to carry out personal campaigns while talking badly against the same government that they are deriving benefits from.
Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
And more on politics, ODM leader Raila Odinga has intensified his campaign to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. Odinga, who met Boda Boda riders Monday, now says he is on a path to provide ordinary Kenyans with a conducive environment to flourish in business. But as Musa Salah reports, Odinga's economic model is not so different from Deputy President William Ruto's bottom-up economy model that is centered on improving the lives of Kenyans.
In his efforts to consolidate his support base, ODM leader Raila Odinga, while meeting with Boda Boda operators from Uhuru Park, said that he intends to base his policies on improving the lives of ordinary Kenyans through building credible business opportunities for small and medium enterprises.
Kwa hivyo kila kitu nataanza huko chini. Mtu huyu wa bodaboda ataweza kutoka bodaboda mpaka aende mpaka kwenda juu zaidi. Apewe nafasi. Apewe nafasi. Ama sivyo?
Vijana wetu wakipewa nafasi ya kujiinua wenyewe, pasi na kusumbuliwa na polisi, pasi na kusumbuliwa na kanjo, inawezekana kwamba nyinyi wenyewe mujiinue katika maisha yenu.
Although Odinga's economic plans border on Deputy President William Ruto's bottom-up economic model, Odinga's allies took a jab at Ruto's economic model, digging up his past graft allegations to discredit his plans to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta next year.
Kama unaweza jua mahali ambapo sasa kazi inafanyika mzuri, sio kuleta wheelbarrow. Kama nilipewa wheelbarrow, ningekuwa nauza miwa mpaka leo hii. Lakini alichonipa baba alipoona ndani yangu, leo mimi ni mbunge, Mungu akipenda kesho mimi ni gavana.
Kuna kitu kingine ambayo tunaambiwa ni bottom up. Hata sisi kama wasomi tukijaribu kufafanua bottom up atuelewe bottom up ni nini.
We should not be talked up. We should not be taken like the people of Mamba Moga, sijui, I don't know how he calls it. I don't know. We want to build businesses that can serve generations.
Deputy President wa Kenya, sina aibu nikisema hafai kuachiwa title deed ya Kenya. Yule ambaye anaweza achiwa title deed ya Kenya na Kenya isimame, isiuzwe, na watoto wale wako Kenya waendelee vizuri ni baba, hakuna wengine.
However, Odinga insists that the BBI constitutional amendment process is on break, accusing those who oppose the BBI bill of taking bribes to shoot down the handshake project, casting a shadow on the Court of Appeal ruling that nullified the BBI process.
Hiyo BBI walipiga, wale ambao walipiga walihongwa, lakini tumeweka kando kidogo, hiyo rege imeenda likizo half time. Lakini itarudi.
Musa Salah, TV47.
Seeking to have next year's elections postponed has been filed. Former nominated Senator Paul Njoroge, who filed the case Monday, wants the polls postponed to 2023, arguing that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission was not properly constituted when it announced the election dates. And Njoroge further argues that the commission did not have a substantive chief executive officer, and therefore key procurement processes for election material will not be undertaken as per the law. Former CEO Ezra Chiloba is out or resigned from the position that is in 2018. A section of leaders from Mount Kenya region have ruled out the possibility of forming a unifying regional party. According to the leaders who met Monday, they will remain in their respective parties but work together in the interests of the region.
Ukiona ni sitting MPs na leaders from Mount Kenya and leaders of political parties. Some of us had met earlier, but today the commitment is the unity of purpose of the people of Mount Kenya. We have also resolved that we are going to reach out to every elected member of parliament in Mount Kenya region for the next meeting, which we hope will be in the coming week at a date and venue to be announced. They'll all get invitation. We want our leaders to be present in the next meeting as we deliberate on the issues that are going to be our wish list to any candidate who is seeking the presidency of this country. So we are committed to unity of purpose. We are committed to multipartyism. Nobody is being told to leave their party, unless, of course, if they wish. We remain in our parties, but we have unity of purpose for Mount Kenya region.
And as earlier mentioned, the other guest is here already. Political analyst, commentators and aspirants, Dennis Kiplagat is here with me this morning alongside Murimi Stephen as they join us for these crucial conversations. And now that we had already engaged Dennis briefly, we loop in Murimi Stephen. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Good to have you.
Good to have you.
Tuambie kitu kidogo kuhusu Mount Kenya.
Basically, Mount Kenya, the most interesting part about Mount Kenya this time is that we will not be having a presidential candidate. So we are seeking to back one person who maybe will come out quite clearly on what he has for the Mount Kenya people. And I think that is an interesting part to watch going forward to 2022.
Is it going to be a person from Mount Kenya, or it is open to all the individuals that at least we have as it now?
For us, we've no issue, and we've made it very clear as the young leaders, and that any person who comes to us and maybe proposes some good solutions to the problems we face as a people, that we will ultimately back him.
You want to tell us that, and this I've heard a couple of times, people say that people of the mountain should not lie to us that it's not been a good reign for them with President Uhuru Kenyatta, that you've enjoyed all the good days in as much as you appear as though, you know, there are moments where you protest against President Uhuru Kenyatta. He was really excited after the Kiamva by-elections because to him, it appeared like the Hustler Nation had won and that it was more of a protest vote to tell President Uhuru Kenyatta, you have failed us. Is it hypocritical?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Because it's been a smooth reign.
No, it's not been a smooth reign. I wouldn't say that it's been a smooth reign. And there are issues. The mountain still has has a lot of issues, you know, to deal with economic issues, agriculture, and though President Uhuru Kenyatta has been able to deal with some of them, but we still have some issues, and we are looking forward to the next person who is coming in.
All right.
To see what
and they think that the next person will be DP William Ruto. What would you say in regards to the key contenders that we have? Let's talk about Deputy President William Ruto, briefly about Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who appear to be the most formidable people that we have as of now, and briefly the likes of Musalia Mudavadi, the One Kenya Alliance, and maybe Jimmy Wanjigi, who knows?
I wouldn't say that we've made an ultimate decision as to who will be backing in the next year's general election.
Is it not a little bit too late? We know well, as they would always say,
it's not.
One day in politics, but you can imagine for Mount Kenya, most of the times at such a time, at least we have an idea.
As you've said, Linda, is that one day in politics is a long time, right? And for us, we are looking at that person who will address our issues in the best way possible, whether it be William Ruto, whether it be Raila Odinga, any person who will come to us and tell us, okay, these are the issues that you people face, and these are how I'm going to solve them. And I believe that is where the voice of the mountain will go to.
And the front page of the Standard newspaper speaks of Madam Anne Waiguru there.
Yes.
And it's either UDA for her or Jubilee. Cautious Kirinyaga governor weighs options days and after accusing the government of intimidation through arrests and summons by state agencies like EACC. This is a story that has been captured on page 8. Do you suppose that in as much as the people of Mount Kenya enjoy numbers, they are being a little bit unfair for the rest of the other regions in the country? Because while they speak of, a person who will have the interest of Mount Kenya at heart, they are very categorical, or a majority of them are very categorical, that if number one is going to be someone from a different region, number two has to be from Mount Kenya.
I want to say, first of all, I'd like to tell my friend here, since he is not sure where he is, welcome to Hustler Nation.
Oh, okay.
And yes, it's so strange, and at a day like that, Hustler Nation is the winning team. Yeah. And then again, I'd like to say,
it's too early to call,
It's too early to call the game.
No, let me tell you, if we are running a marathon and I start 30 minutes before you, and we trained the same or on international set standards. Before we go to international, there are some standards that we must bypass. And if I start before you, definitely I'm going to win.
But
so
is it definite?
Let me come to the issue of
people fall down on the road. Someone gets tired on the road and the other person comes and
But you see, we are not the people to get tired. We are the Kipchoge of this marathon 2022.
Okay, all right. Okay. It has gone
now
home.
before let me prove why. Let me prove why we are the Kipchoges of the 2022 presidential race. First of all, you saw on all of the numbers that we have, elected member of parliament, legislators in Mount Kenya, we had more than half yesterday, the other day in the meeting in Nanyuki. Again,
more than half.
Let me tell you, Mount Kenya has already decided that it's not that they don't have a candidate, but they have a candidate. Like he's saying that they are not going to raise a candidate, but Mount Kenya has a candidate who is called William Samoei Ruto, and they have decided that they are not going again to go the tribal way of saying that we must have somebody who is called. Listen, Linda, why don't you let me finish?
All right.
It is not a must that we have somebody that is called Kamau or Kenyatta so that we have our own candidate. A candidate is the one that who will mind about our affairs, and that person was William Samoei Ruto, and that is what is going to happen even in Rift Valley. We are not going to raise a person that is Kiplagat. No, any person, even if it's Linda Alela, who is going to provide our interest at heart, then that is the person.
I'm keen to understand the interest of the people of the Rift Valley. At least for the Mount Kenya, they've been speaking of it a couple of times.
And that's why Hustler Nation have given them a room for their needs to be satisfied. Like he said, this part of the last regime. And I want to rectify him, not the whole regime, but 2013, 2017 was a little bit fair, but 2017 to now has been a whole mess. It's a whole mess.
Let's allow him to come in and respond.
But you see, yes. Number one, we are not ruling out the fact that the Mount Kenya people will support William Ruto. What we are asking is, what does William Ruto have in store for us? We cannot just follow someone blindly simply because they agreed somewhere that kumi yangu na kumi yako. That agreement, we are not privy to that kind of an agreement. And if we would lead our people in that direction, I believe that would be a little bit careless.
When we talk about the interest of Mount Kenya, we know a couple of them: economy, agriculture, coffee, tea, and all this fall under agriculture. Is getting a number 2 from Mount Kenya one of the priorities?
Another issue is that you have to consider is that politics, any political contest is about numbers, right? And if these guys have to be serious, if these guys have to, if they will show us they are serious, then they have to pick a running mate from the Mount Kenya region.
I want to
they must. Now, it's about numbers. It's about numbers.
Let me electrify something. People have been taking this like it's a Mount Kenya affair. No, Hustler Nation is looking out on the whole country affair. And all the interest of Kenya at large, not only the Mount Kenya. Do you know why? Mount Kenya have decided that they will work with William Ruto because William Samoei Ruto is that guy that has the whole country interest at heart. Now, Mount Kenya have decided to follow it, and they've said they're going to back him, not because of the kumi yako, the kumi yangu. No, they have laid strategy, and if there's any interest, Mount Kenya, we have farmers, we have business, and we are going to do what is called bottom-up economic model. That is where Mount Kenya interests are being served. But it is not only about the second position. But if Mount Kenya is given the second position, they have the democratic right to fight for any position. Just like we have presidential aspirants from Mount Kenya. So if at all they are given that second position, well and good. Anybody else in this Kenya deserve to be a running mate of DP Ruto.
I would want to go back to 2013 when the president Uhuru Kenyatta was seeking elections to be elected as the country's president. This guy's irreducible minimums was that the DP as a person must be Uhuru's running mate. And why was that the case?
It wasn't even about their interest. Why was that the case?
It wasn't about the interest. It was about our irreducible minimum is that the DP has to be Uhuru Kenyatta's running mate.
Probably with the assumption that when your person is there, then the likelihood
your interests are represented.
Yes.
Okay, to some extent, yes. But again, when it comes about, when we talk about the question of representation, and in this case, when we look at Mount Kenya, for instance, if you want to tell us that you are going to address our issues in this way or in the other way, then show us. We need to have a watchman who will remind you every time that you promised our people roads, you promised our people better policies on agriculture.
Yes.
You promised our people that you fight corruption, because again, you remember that corruption in this country really inhibits the growth of the Mount Kenya people and Kenya at large. So again, we must come down and understand how do your policies relate and seek to solve some of the problems that we see.
And you suppose that in this short period, or a million period, if we're talking politically, the people of Mount Kenya will have come together? Because you see, the confusion then also comes in with the fact that, again, this appears to be, the most potential swing vote area in 2022, based on what we have seen. We have Waiguru looking at the other direction, still not so sure of whom to support. We have the likes of Martha Karua, the last story that we just played, and a couple of other,
what Martha Karua is saying, and I fully agree with what Martha Karua is saying, that yes, time has come and we have to bring our leaders together. We have to speak with one voice. That is what we've been saying as the people from Mount Kenya. We should not be hoodwinked by the DP's influence, quote-unquote influence in the region, or Raila Odinga's influence in the region. We have to come back as a region and ask ourselves, what is in store for us? And if we can be able to answer that question, then we can be very sure that going forward, Mount Kenya will support the most and the best candidate. Yes.
All right.
So far, I want to concur with you. Mount Kenya will support the most and the best candidate. And so far, the best candidate has been proven to be William Samoei.
We can't make that conclusion.
How?
Okay. We can't making that.
Okay. The only proof lies in the ballot.
Yes.
No. Yes. Now, but before you go to the ballot, the Lilian Mvua ni nini?
Ni mawingu watukatai, lakini hii mawingu.
Now before we go to the ballot,
what makes you think that Musalia Mudavadi is not the best candidate? What makes you think that Musalia Mudavadi?
In fact, as a matter of fact, they say he's the lesser
politics
evil.
has its process.
What makes you think that Jimmy Wanjigi
just like
again is not?
Listen, just like playing football, it has a process. You must have a formation. You must have tactics and a score.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're not confusing this?
So far, let me tell you. So far, politics we can count on. You said on numbers. So far, who has been the best candidate to pull out numbers in Mount Kenya? Let us not say Kenya.
What kind of numbers are you talking about?
Opinion polls. What numbers are we talking about?
Opinion polls. Thank you so much. Ruto had 53%. And then 47 followed by others.
Can you confidently believe? Okay, but I'm not trying to say that.
I can confidently believe that, because let me tell you, there is no way, Linda and my friend, if we are vying for the same seat, and I told you politics has a process, if I'm able to even first pull a crowd, that shows that I'm a potential potential winner. I'm a potential winner.
Can I remind you something?
I'm a potential winner before even you come here.
Let me remind you so that you can react.
You should allow me to speak. In the 2013 build-up, the polls were saying that Raila Odinga is ahead.
Yes, by far.
Right? But he was trounced by the current president, Uhuru Kenyatta, going to the election. And what we are trying to say, I'm trying to say, and what I'm trying to help the Hustle Nation with, is that please do not be overconfident. You know, do not be overconfident that you have the Mount Kenya vote. Do not be overconfident that the country is fully behind you. Sit down. Come up with policies that will solve the problems of Kenyans and tell Kenyans this is what we have to offer. Telling us that your government model will be bottom up. A bottom up model is not a policy, right? It's not a policy. Actually, it's a model that has never been heard of anywhere.
Let me tell you, it's a model that is working in the United States right now. It's the model that Joe Biden is using.
And that has been the greatest undoing of our people, of Africa, so to speak, because on numerous occasions we have copy-pasted, constitutions from different parts of the world, and it comes in, it does not fit to address the issues of the people. Comes in sometimes, a few clauses would work, others would not work.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do the normal Mwananchi have a problem? As you're speaking right now, answer me. Is there a problem?
In terms of
we have so many issues.
We have so many issues. Thank you so much. Do you have a problem in economy?
Yes.
Of course.
Thank you very much. And that's why we come in with the model, the bottom-up economy model.
What exactly is this?
Let me ask a question.
Let me tell you guys.
Maybe I would want to ask a question.
Listen to me.
I want to ask a question.
No, why?
I would want to ask a question.
Okay, ask. Then
my
I'll
question
tell you.
would be, when you talk about the bottom-up economics, right? For me, in my own lame understanding of political, of economic matters, I tend to believe that any economic model that prospers must be based on the multiplier factor, right? How much, if we invest a certain amount in this model, this is how much we tend to reap from it.
And maybe
now, in the bottom-up model that you guys have been talking about, right? And I've talked with so many analysts, and their main question has always been, where is the multiplier factor in all of this? How does the country stand to grow in terms of manufacturing? How does the country stand to grow in terms of agriculture? How does the bottom-up influence some of these areas, which are quite important?
Where does the government get its the higher percentage of tax? Is it on the high profile community or the middle class? Thank you, the middle class. And this is where now your factor comes in. The middle class is where is the class that can raise the economy with the highest, with the fastest race. We are not saying that the current economic model is completely a dead matter, but the bottom-up economic model is now coming in to the middle class.
Can I give you an example?
Listen, why don't you listen to me? Helping the middle class raise and do their businesses, and then input the taxes into the government. Can
I give you an example? Can I give you an example of what maybe I would refer to as a bottom-up economic model? One of the best examples that we can give is the Gotv Fund, the Youth Enterprise Fund. These monies came in to give loans and to the grassroots people. But again, how have they operated? How is their success rate? If you check today, so if the DP today is telling me that okay, we will come in and we will try and reform some of these areas, then I would agree with him, right? I would agree with him.
Thank you very much.
He's not talking about reforms.
If Gotv Fund with the current, now that's a good model of the bottom-up economy. But let me tell you, if Gotv Fund was correctly run with the correct mind of people, without corruption, let me tell you, he was the pioneer, but he was taking away all the powers for running his activities. Listen to me. Why don't you listen to me?
You see, now,
even with the table banking, those were the economics, those are the model that were going direct to the normal Mwananchi.
Gentlemen,
now this is where the problem comes in. Corruption is the main problem, and that is what we have to do away with. That is what we want to do away with. Do you know why corruption succeeds in a certain country? The people that will fight corruption are the hustlers themselves.
Dennis, allow me to
themselves. Why am I telling you this?
Gentlemen, for purposes of order, I have to take charge.
Thank you.
Now, this is it. I would want to assume that we cannot authoritatively discuss the bottoms-up approach, because as far as we're concerned, we have an idea of what it will be about. But as the proponents would say they will not dish out the information as of now. They will dish out in due time, you know, everything, the trick, just how best they're going to handle this, simply because they don't want these ideas to be stolen by the others. At least that's what they said. So as far as we're concerned, we still are not yet clear on how the bottoms-up approach is going to operate, especially on the aspect of corruption. That is one thing that, you know, you people have not come out clear to tell us and everything. That aside, Right Honorable Raila Odinga yesterday and generally has also released his own economic style that he would want to address the aspect of the economy in the country. More or less resonates with what it is that the Hustler Nation speaks out. You know, okay, well, it's not even clear that we know the bottoms up. But the biggest question then again is, what is the huge difference between the bottoms up and what it is that we've had over years? The trickle down effect. It's always generally how does money get to the common mwananchi so that they can multiply this, the multiplying factor that Murimi asks of. So evidently, I don't know whether Kenyans should be celebrating or Kenyans should be confident that we have the same leaders, the same monkeys, so to speak, and they are probably going to present. Yes,
right.
Which let me ask.
No, let's allow him to come in.
Okay.
The proposals, the economic proposals that have been proposed by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, in my own opinion, I think for me, you know, in politics, I've come to learn a very interesting aspect of it all is that the bottom line, and at the end of the day, the question of interest will always sit at the back of the mind of a politician, you know. And for me, I think that Raila Odinga is trying to take advantage of the current political wave. That is the youth, the young people, and how we will solve your problems. But that aside, I would also maybe it would be fair to give the honorable, to give Raila Odinga some time to sit down with his economic advisors, and maybe they will be able to advise him on how they can change their lives. Because William Ruto has not done that. So can we maybe give Raila Odinga an opportunity to tell us if it's about the question of uplifting the grassroots people? How does he plan to do that? You know, Ruto has said, okay, I will use the bottom-up economic model to deal with these issues. And it has been heavily criticized. So can we maybe allow the Right Honorable, the former Prime Minister, maybe to sit down and come up with what he would call a model, and then let us critique it from that point of view.
All right. Well, as we leave this at that, and we speak of the levels of intolerance that we've witnessed, that's the reason why at some point then I asked just how confident is the DP that the mountain is for him, looking at the events of the weekend, looking at the intolerance that was meted upon him, looking at the scenario of Laikipia. And yesterday we extensively touched on this matter of Laikipia. And officially the government has declared, you know,
curfew.
Yes, curfew. That's the whole idea. And so the biggest question is, why is the situation getting dire? And while we look at it and say that maybe politics has a hand in the same, I mean, it's been there over time, and it gets worse at this point where we're headed to an electioneering period.
Unfortunately, Linda, now when it comes to the interest of the people, the government and the system itself, everybody that is even supposed to take charge of security has gone to politics. They have forgotten the normal mwananchi. You see, with politics, it must flow the way it will flow. The wave will run around the country. But is that person who is supposed to take charge of the security? We have the interior, CS, and we have Kibicho, Matiang'i. Those are the guys that are supposed to be running the security of the country, because we cannot stop politics from going all over. What we cannot only stop is political hate speech. But political alignment, we cannot stop that. One area must be aligned, or automatically will be aligned to a certain person, and the other area will align to a certain person. But now, here now comes in the neutral guy, who is supposed to take charge of the security. And that is what is happening in Laikipia. The people that are supposed to be taking charge of security have indulged in something that it doesn't concern them. They have indulged in politics. It doesn't concern them. That's why they wait until it's too late. They start giving out threats at Sasa, we are going to come in. They should not be doing that. They should focus on their security issues so that such things might not happen. Because a little thing in politics can trigger violence. Now they are the guys that are supposed to know where, the hotspot of where violence can occur. They should be having people there, the security agents there. That's the only thing I can say about that.
Murimi, on that issue. And as you come in, tribe is a factor. We speak of Kisii Ndogo, probably. Technically, we all know that when we're talking about Kalenjin Dogo, Kisii Dogo, this Dogo, we know in most cases the individuals that largely occupy this area then could be people from this particular region. And so when we speak of scenarios where these people want to be rooted out, then we start fearing, we start having issues in regards to the aspect of tribe. Do you suppose it's one thing that we keep burying under the sand, yet it's something that we're not supposed to address?
Linda, I was lucky yesterday to attend a meeting whereby the Laikipia leaders were discussing some of these issues and what is happening in Laikipia.
Yeah.
And one thing came out quite clearly in Laikipia, you know, especially if you move to Laikipia North, that in Laikipia West, you move to the northern part, whereby maybe we have the Marakwet and, you know, those guys there, around there. You find that those people do not go to school. And it's an issue that we need to deal with. Actually, someone was telling me that immediately a boy is born, the next thing they are taught is how to handle a gun. I think these are some of the things that should inform how we make our policies as government, because how do we allow young people to hold ammunition, to hold guns? You know, it should be a question of the government going in there and trying to stop some of these things, because the government has the power to do that. Of course, the government can say, okay, if you're not this age, then you should not be able to hold a firearm. Number two, we should also encourage those people to go to school. Education is a game changer in so many events. Now, and going on maybe onto the issue of tribalism and the question of how the aspect of tribalism informs how even our security. You realize that at the end of the day, when people start thinking, right, not as Kenyans, but as if I start thinking as a Kikuyu or as an Ambian, because I'm from Embu, then you realize that I cannot see my brother as a good person, you know. So I think we have to cultivate a culture whereby we encourage our people to be more tolerant with each other, number one. And we should see our different tribes as a pillar of strength. It shouldn't be a pillar of division. It shouldn't be a place whereby we come and maybe we are divided along tribal lines. You know? There are more serious things, and I believe that is why politicians take advantage. They know that, okay, if we take this route of if I go to my people and tell them, okay, I'm your son, and blah 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 blah, maybe that again diverts the attention of the people from the real issues facing them. We have serious issues in this country as young people, whether from Embu, whether from Eldoret, whether from where. We have serious issues that continue to bedevil us, that that remain a quagmire. Unemployment. These are some of the issues that they are some of the issues that we should inform our conversation. Unemployment, you know, corruption, deaths, you know, extrajudicial killings, just like you witnessed the other day in Kejokoma. These are serious issues, and for me, I'm calling upon our young people, you know, let us avoid some of these issues whereby we have to discuss about tribes, and because I'm from this tribe, then I should make my decision in this in this way. My decision making should be purely done in considering what is in the best interest of the country. That is what
speaking of what's in the best interest of the country, of course, economy is very, very important. We are yet to receive the Economic Survey 2021, and of course we'll be looking at how well we have performed or how bad we have performed to see whether we can address that, but also the matters to do with education. We are being told that university admissions, you know, are a mess as at now, because of the difficulties the students are going through. But even worse, CBC, competency-based curriculum. and parents are complaining that this is pushing them to the academic wall. Dreams of affordable and accessible education fade away as reality of new curriculum hits parents hard. It appears like it's the best curriculum in terms of preparing our students for the job market, but it is equally extremely expensive for the parents. I don't know whether you are parents here. I am. And to be honest, it's not been all rosy. And my boy is as young as this. So I can imagine there's that fear. The fear is real of when he gets to grade 2, grade 3, grade 4.
Yes.
What will it be like?
But you see, personally, I'm in support of CBC. But anything that is good always comes expensively.
Okay.
Yes. Now, the parents need to adjust slowly. Unfortunately, now when it comes to a curriculum, it will not wait for you. So you'll need to work hard. That's the harsh reality.
Okay.
Because it is already injected into the education system of Kenya. CBC is going to take place. But now these come up to a place where now the parents are going to dig deeper into their pockets, because it proves I'm a parent, I can see that thanks to the education system, at least they are trying. You see, like previously, Magoha fired a principal because of raising fees. I think now they should bring in the education fund, where when the allocation of the next budgetary, when they will be allocating funds, they should bring in, they should enlarge the portion of the education ministry. And then again, make sure that some things are handled by the government. They should not leave the burden to there, especially as at now, at the beginning, with the pandemic. They should, the one thing the government should do, and this should be a must do for the government, they should at least take some of the luggage from their parents. That's my opinion.
There you go. Page 12 of the Daily Nation says, face of joblessness, young graduates reduced to quarry stone crushers. And so as you weigh in on the matter of CBC and how expensive an affair it appears to be for the parents, and generally adjustments that are supposed to be made, evidently after all said and done, you're done with school, there are no jobs.
Linda, for me, I would disagree with my brother here that the parents should take the blunt.
Yeah.
I don't think that is fair. Because you see, one of the primary functions of a government is to provide better living standards for their people. And one of the ways we can do that is by ensuring that education is not only affordable, but we also provide quality education. But because of what Mzee Moi used to say, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya, then we find ourselves in a quagmire. Remember that when Kibaki took over in 2002, education really became affordable. You know, people were able to go to school in large numbers, and so many of majority of the young people that we have today benefited from the free primary education that was started by the then president Mwai Kibaki. Now, going down to 2020 to 2021, maybe from 2017, you've seen a trend whereby the cost of education is becoming unaffordable.
Yeah.
And I think that that is quite unfair. And I always say this, CBC is a good curriculum, right? But I think we rushed the idea way too much. It should have waited. There is no rush in coming up with something that will benefit your citizens. And,
but until when? You know, we always are people who will never be ready.
But remember, at least the bare minimum. You know, the bare minimum. The government should have ensured that at least it is affordable. You know, ask yourself this question today. It is. Maybe according to you, you have that feeling that education is a little bit unaffordable. What happens to a parent who sells maize in Runyenjes? What happens to that parent who can't afford some of these issues? Where do they go from here? You know, these are some of the questions that maybe the government should have asked itself. Do we have the infrastructure to deal with the curriculum? Do we have the right infrastructure in place? You know, these are some of the questions that the government should have tried. Do we have enough teachers to deal with this curriculum as it should be? You know, and remember that even according to the SDGs, Standard Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah, sustainable. Yeah.
Yes, one of the key pillars of the SDG, I think it's pillar number 4, it's affordable and quality education. Are we as a country working towards that? Are we working retrogressively? Right. That is a question that we should be able to asking. And again, these are very huge questions that should inform how we interrogate the next president. What does the next, what do all these candidates have to say about the cost of education in this country? What do these people have to say about unemployment? Because if we are training people, if we are training our young men and there are no jobs, then what are we saying? What are we saying? You know, right. What are we saying in the country? Are we saying that these people we will go on and not find a source of livelihood? Right. It is a questions. These are the hard questions that I think we should be asking as a people.
Well, there you go. And briefly, another story that has been captured on page 8 of the Daily Nation. And ban on roadblocks amid rampant graft. I know we've all experienced traffic police directly or indirectly at some point in time. And so the National Police Service has again banned roadblocks and static police checks across the country following numerous complaints of officers collecting bribes from motorists. In addition, any complaint made against a traffic officer will be investigated and stern action taken. That is in an effort to enforce discipline among the traffic police. These are some of the resolutions made as at a traffic management meeting attended by Inspector General of Police, that is Hilary Mutyambai, IG Edward Bugwa, and the traffic commandant late last week. Long overdue? Is it strange? I mean,
this is kind of funny because now, if you ban, I don't see the need of banning roadblocks if the characters are still mad, are still corrupt. You see, now banning roadblocks is just one of the things that kufunga macho. They should instill discipline, the real discipline to their forces. Right. You have seen traffic officers standing in a road where there is no this barrier. Right. And they are doing what they are doing best. Yes. So I don't think that this is just something to make it to just their work official that they are there. But I want to say this: the anti-corruption unit should really come in on the discipline on roads about our officers, because majority of them we have seen they are not working. So the institutions are either under the police or outside the police, like the ESCC and the anti-corruption unit. Even the IPOA need to weed themselves, because it is themselves that are not competent. If the anti-corruption were competent, we could not be having such kind of characters in the road. In a unit where the police are getting peanuts, in a unit where they continue to decry of the tough times that they experience, do you suppose that however much they'd want to instill discipline, which in most cases is instilled, this would work?
And I attribute that story to the danger of a one-sided story. You know, we are always told how the police are corrupt. We are always told how the police are brutal. But
we are the ones who dish out.
Right? Number one, we are the ones who dish out. Number two, you find that these people are not motivated, are not well motivated to deal with some of the circumstances that come their way. So what options do you leave to them as a government? Again, this is a question of governance, siasa mzuri, where we should be heading. Yeah. And I was very encouraged when the Right Honorable Raila Odinga talked about police reforms and how his regime will ensure that we have some of these police reforms. Banning roadblocks is not a solution to the corruption issues in our roads. You know, I think we need some serious interventions, some of which should entail pure reforms, total reforms on. And remember, all this starts from how we train our police officers. We train our police officers not as men. You know, we brutally train them. You know, they had to go through a very rigorous training process. I think we should revise. We should ask ourselves some of these questions. Is it really necessary? You know, is it really necessary to take our policemen and women through some of these processes? Right. Number two, it again boils to the question of who is the president, and does the president have the goodwill to fight corruption? Which is, again, to me, you know, I remember at one given time, one of the Americans' greatest president, I don't know if it was John F. Kennedy, who said that at the end of the day, the buck will always stop with the president, you know. And one of the reasons why maybe I've raised this issue is because going forward, when we want to elect a leader, right, we must ask if he has the goodwill. Has he shown the goodwill to deal with corruption? It is not a question of which tribe he comes from, but does this guy have the goodwill to fight corruption?
Do you think President Uhuru Kenyatta has the goodwill? That is one of the key things that he's wished to address, and he said, well...
For me, I think that the president has really tried. If we are fair enough, the president...
If we are diplomatic enough.
If we are diplomatic enough, I would say that the president has really... I would say that he's really tried. But again, you see his handlers and the guys that hold some of these offices. And there's a time actually he professed and saying that the OP, the office of the president, is one of the most corrupt units in government. And he's been trying to make some reforms. Of course, he's brought in some guys, and he's been able to increase the funding that has been allocated to the Anti-Corruption Commission. But at the end of the day, the question will be, you know, going forward, when we elect a new president in the country, what does he have to say about corruption? What is his plan on how to weed out corruption? Because if we can't weed out corruption in this country, I think that the suffering will still continue.
Will still be on. All right. I have two key stories that I want us to touch on before we exit the stage, but also just to update you on others. British Airways resumes direct flights to Nairobi, of course, at this point where Nairobi is still or remains on the United Kingdom travel red list due to spike in coronavirus infections. A story captured on the back page of the Daily Nation right here. Well, we see how then that culminates, but one of the stories that I'd want us to touch on, Uhuru's allies take on Ruto overreaches. That is a story that finds itself across all the papers. The Standard newspaper, the Daily Nation, and equally the People Daily as the key story. But before we even touch on that, former senator proceeds to court or postpone, in request of postponement of 2022 polls. Ex-senator asks court, former nominated Senator Paul Njoroge has petitioned the High Court to postpone next year's general's election, arguing that the electoral body was not properly constituted when it set the date to conduct the polls on August 9, 2022. And of course, in his petition filed under the certificate of urgency, Mr. Njoroge says the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IBC, did not have a substantive chief executive officer when it picked the date for next year's general elections. I'm telling you, if we are to go this direction,
I would laugh about that application. You know,
yes.
That petition, yes. But doesn't the former MP Njoroge understand that the date of the election has been set by the Constitution?
By the Constitution, right? Automatically.
It is not the Electoral and Boundaries. It is not the Election and Boundaries. We should perhaps maybe set some of these dates.
He probably focuses much on the processes of procurement and the dates that were set. Okay, well, by this time everybody should have resigned, but automatically it should be.
If you delve maybe deeper into legal issues, one of the questions that the court will be trying to answer is, how malicious is that application? Is that petition? You know, how malicious? How does it inform? Does it go against the constitutional imperative, the set constitutional imperatives of having a general elections every 5 years? Because again, the Katiba says that the country shall hold a general elections every 5 years.
Right.
Now, if that falls short of that imperative, I think maybe that application has been deemed failed ab initio. It shouldn't succeed really beyond there. Again, on the issue of the quota, I think again the Constitution is quite clear when you check and read about the Constitutional Commission. It says, it provides very clearly that a Constitutional Commission can operate with about three commissioners. So I think that petition is not malicious in my own opinion.
All right.
Even without even looking even if it was malicious or not, but there are some issues that can lead to postponement of of election, and this ex-senator does not qualify at all.
Yes, the constitution has provided ways. You know, I think it's in Article 25.
Yes, it does.
Article 25, I think, has provided when
yes,
and the general election can be postponed. Circumstances through which, when there is a state of emergency, another issue.
There's war and all that.
This one doesn't qualify at all. It's just looking for some fame here and there. It's just, you know, politicians are always politicians. And now talked about the Kirinyaga governor. You see, I want to say something about Waiguru. Waiguru is coming to Hustler Nation, but he must pick a good stand. He cannot just resign from Jubilee into UDA. But he must pick a sympathy path into UDA.
So this is so hustlers are full of people who always seek to get sympathy.
But you see, you cannot fight me. And when people start sympathizing for me, you start saying again, I'm looking for sympathy. And it is you yourself who started the fight. Okay. What am I supposed to do? And I cannot fight you back. Just leave it for the nature to take its control. And fortunately,
so she's strategically preparing herself to...
She is preparing herself, and many others are coming.
It's a question of wait and time. Kenapa Kadhumbi says, according to my opinion, in politics, you must always be ahead of your opponents and competitors. Yes. Keep them guessing whilst your plans and execute your next steps. That's what one needs to remember. There are a couple of responses that we have, greetings, and also so much so in regards to what we have spoken about. Of course, whether the Hustler Nation has a track record to show, they say no. Track record gani is no. But a couple of responses that we get right here. Uhuru's allies take on Ruto overreaches, and therefore this is a classic example of what he speaks about. You hit me. What do you expect me to do?
I think this is quite reckless from Uhuru's allies.
Yes.
We shouldn't be portraying someone in the eyes of the public as a disadvantaged candidate, you know, because they understand very well that Ruto will be running in the next general elections. So I don't see the reasons as to why they should be bashing back and forth. And the result, these of course resorts to what many people have called to as the sympathy vote. This gives rise to the sympathy votes. I think it is a little bit reckless for the Uhuru's allies to be taking on Ruto every day. You know, we have serious
Secretary General for that matter.
The Secretary General, I think that the Interior Cabinet Secretary, these people, I think we have serious issues that require their attention. And you remember that the CS, the cabinet, the Tuju is another again, is a cabinet secretary.
You know,
I think there are some serious issues we should be dealing with as a country instead of taking on William Ruto. And if they continue with this kind of habit, then I think the most worried person should be the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. You know,
it will
because he should be worried. Because he should be worried because when these people portray William Ruto in the eyes of the public opinion as a betrayed person, then what the public does is that the public will always have sympathy on him, and as a result of that, he might be voted him. He might be voted.
So are you categorically?
Yes. No, I'm not categorically saying.
Are you categorically saying that it will be a race of two?
For me, my issue is if we have to interrogate a presidential candidate, let us interrogate that person on the basis of merit. Let us not get there because you see the government is bashing them and the people wants to protect them. Of course, we know how Kenyans vote. We know how Kenyans vote. If they think that you are their savior and maybe the government is fighting you, then they will always come to your defense. Let us. I think these guys should try a little bit to be a little bit modest. Let us allow the guy some time. And again, although on the other hand, again, William Ruto again should be careful, with how he runs his campaigns, especially now that we are fighting the COVID pandemic. We should not be seen to be having so many gatherings, addressing so many quite huge gatherings.
But the likes of Tuju raise a pertinent point.
And again,
where was Raila? It is just that because Musalia Mudavadi is not able to pull a crowd, but they were there. Their first intention going to the public was to pull a crowd. It is just that unfortunately, let me tell you, it was just that unfortunately Ruto pulls the crowd more than them. This one,
and you also acknowledge that the crowd is not what culminates to
Yes, no. Let me tell you.
It doesn't culminate to votes. It does not culminate to votes.
Historically, what happened is, let me answer the
let me tell you something. One of the biggest crowd pullers in Kenya is Raila Odinga. But he has never won an election. He has never won an election. But again, Linda, on that point, I think that
we have to have some order.
2013, let me talk. 2013.
Make it brief.
Yes, let me make it very brief. 2013.
Before someone said, "I allowed here."
Yes, Raila was ahead in opinion polls, but he didn't maintain. He was overtaken. Now, this 2022, Ruto is ahead, and he is not showing any sign of even the laxity to surrender or being overtaken.
Do you want us to remind you of what happened in Kiamba?
Let me tell you. What happened
very early, but almost.
But remember,
Njama almost got.
I told you. You see, Kareri Njama was one of the DP's people. People of Kiamba were just choosing a candidate from UDA. Both were UDA members. Either between the best candidate in UDA, Kareri Njama and Kawanjiko.
I think it's diverting from the main issue. The main issue here is we are calling upon our leaders to practice some decorum, you know, when they hold some of these gatherings, including Raila Odinga. We should not
thank
be,
you.
Yes,
when you say including Raila now,
Raila Odinga and William Ruto, right? They should not be seen to be defying the Ministry of Health protocols, you know, because at the end of the day, these will have some daunting and dire effects to how the country moves forward in terms of the pandemic.
Okay.
You know, and
but did you see the SG and these people say? Did you see the SG and these people saying that Ruto should not let the people down?
I've not supported the SG. I've not supported the SG on any of his on any of his allegations.
Even the point, okay.
For me, I think that, and I've said clearly that it's quite reckless for him to come on a public TV and castigate one William Ruto, you know, and portray him to the people as an estranged man, you know. So for me, I look at the interests of the country from where I speak. I think that these people should be responsible enough to adhere to the Ministry of Health protocols going forward. And the government, again, when enforcing some of these measures, it should be done across board. It shouldn't be seen to attack one person while giving the other person an advantage. And that for me is very important, you know, because how we move on, how we build this country, you know, tomorrow William Ruto will not be the deputy president.
That's true.
I might be, right? I would want fairness. He would want fairness. You would want fairness. And that is what we should be calling for.
And the issue of property, I'm wondering, why should they go and parade Ruto's property?
Why not? Why not?
Why not? But there's no problem. There's no problem, Linda. But the first interest when parading somebody's property, I'm wondering, why should they parade Uhuru Kenyatta has properties also. Themselves, the SG has properties. I want to say this before. Let me finish. I gave you your time.
I gave you your time. Make it very brief so that you can come in.
Yes, thank you. Give me my time.
Make it brief.
I want to say this. When they are forcing Ruto to go and declare a tax payment, we want a tax for our president, the SG, the SG of Jubilee, Matiang'i. Everybody should parade his nini now. This should not be aligned to one person. And that's why you're talking about.
But remember, in 2013, when Uhuru Kenyatta was running for president, the question of wealth also come up, because this is a public office that you are seeking to occupy. You know, you cannot shy away from some of these questions. You must tell us. Like for me, I find it quite funny that William Ruto, he says that maybe in 2013 there he was worth 100 million.
And before you know it,
yes, and before you know it, the guy is worth over 100 billion.
Why is it that you do not agree with what the SG is raising?
He's worth over 100 billion, and for me, from that point of view, I think that there is a lot as Kenyans we have to do. I don't agree with what the SG is saying, because I know that deep down his heart is not honest.
Genuine. Okay, well, it's witch hunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, he has just finished the point. But this damn the SG. I like the way you are supporting me. You just go around and support me.
No.
Let
He
me
has
tell
a
you,
point, which is actually not support.
There's no problem. Even Ruto had no problem, and said 70% of the properties belongs to him. And let me tell you, as much as Ruto is a deputy president, he has a what? He has a salary. And if he decided from his salary, he invest on business, is that a problem? Why are you people taking it? The business of William Ruto.
How much does the DP earn?
Okay, there's no problem. Don't tell me about what is that, but it is much enough. He can take loan to start a poultry farm. So why is it that this issue about the property inauma watu wengine sana?
The noble thing, and a person who is interested in this office, public office for that matter, while it could appear as though it's witch hunt, if you're straight enough, noble enough, what is so hard about declaring?
Remember Mother Karua?
Yes,
Remember Mother Karua? When Mother Karua was running for president, when Mother Karua was running for president in 2013, she declared her wealth. Yes, right? Yes. It is
so hard
when Donald Trump in America was running for president, he declared his wealth. And remember,
let me tell you,
one of the most important thing about wealth declaration is the public sector.
There's no problem about wealth declaration. The only problem is,
let me tell you, it becomes hard for you two to be heard if we're talking at the same time.
Let me respond to his. One of the reasons why it is candidly important for a public officer to declare their wealth is because we need to understand if they've been able to gather this wealth, does it fall under the precepts of Chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution?
Integrity.
Has it been acquired? Has this wealth been acquired in a manner that shows integrity? If not, then we as Kenyans should be able to reject such person, because if such person cannot claim integrity, then he cannot be able to lead us in the right direction.
Okay, I want to say the issue about wealth is there is no problem. Even William Ruto is ready and has already declared that his wealth as his. Are
you holding brief on the
let me say something. But why are you people taking it that it's only William Ruto that should declare his wealth? Why don't you go for other aspirants? Why is it so hard about? But anyway, thank you, because he's the only one that proves to be the winner. The others are just pesetas.
What do you mean?
And if you are the winner, acknowledging that you're the winner, what is so hard about coming out?
And I
mean, if yours is
but didn't he say that? The 70%. Why should the SG now add in some other properties? But anyway, we wish that he could get the other the 30% of the properties. There's no problem if he becomes the world's billionaire.
We have to close. And one thing stands out right here, Murimi, the fact that Kenyans are supposed to go out there and vote. But reality is that we have a long way to go before we get to vote people with integrity.
And that makes me a very worried Kenyan.
Yes.
That makes me a very worried young person. And it should make him too, because if we don't have a government that is based on integrity, our people will continue to suffer.
That's the truth.
Right?
This is how the integrity comes. Now, we cannot just base on illustrations. This is how the integrity comes. We need a government that is run by different ethnicities. And this is where the Hustler Nation comes in.
The question
it takes all over all the Kenyans.
The question of ethnicity in this country.
Thank you very much. Because we cannot have integrity where the head, where in five government organizations, we have the heads being Kikuyu, maybe, and Kale. No. And where the Hustler Nation comes in, where it comprises everybody into one bucket of leading the country. Everybody is important.
As we close, I would like maybe to inform my friend here that the question of ethnicity does not in any way symbolize integrity. It only shows inclusion, which is again a good thing. And I believe that one of the most inclusive person we have in this country is the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. He has shown that way and above board. So I would like to maybe advise my friend going forward, if we are going to hold these conversations, if we are going to be future a country that is good and a country that is based on
do you know the Secretary General of ODM?
No, listen to me.
Can you give me a structure of ODM when you talk at Raila is inclusive? I can give you a structure of UDA. The Executive Director is a Luya.
I think you need
the Secretary General is a Kikuyu.
Can we allow him to finish his point?
No, why is he lying? Why is he lying that Raila is inclusive? ODM itself.
Let's allow him to finish.
The structure of ODM is full of
one language. It was good having you. It was really, really good having you.
But UDA executive director is a lawyer, secretary general is Veronica Mudhoni.
No. But again, we have to agree.
That is the only way we can kill corruption in this country.
One of the things I would want us to agree as we bring.
Don't lie to us.
One of the things I would want us to bring.
Reality.
No, listen to
you
me.
See, Kiplagat, in as much as you have a point, you are now overstepping the mandate.
You see, one of the things I would love that if we agree, maybe as we bring this to a conclusion, then I'll walk out a very happy
30
man.
seconds.
Yes, is that in this country, the question of integrity cannot be wished away. When electing a president.
That is why it's in the Constitution. Yes. We close it at that. And of course, a polite reminder, it's quite a sad note right here. But then again, one would want to look at this as rest on matters sports. French footballer Jean-Pierre Adams has died after being in a coma for 39 cool years. And, lots of celebration to his wife, that is Bernette Adams, for having been, there for him for all these years up until that time that he breathed his last breath. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Gentlemen, asante sana. It was good having you, Murimi Stephen, and Dennis Kiplagat, both commentators and aspirants. Kasarani and Kasarani and Runyenja's constituency. Thank you so much. I'll see you again some other time. We get to a different conversation altogether. Remember, it is that week that we commemorate Suicide Prevention Week, so it's really important that we have this conversation. The gentlemen will not even allow me to say what we're having next, so let's take a quick breather and then we come back and enlighten you on the same.